Hey, it's me, and I'm back for another video. This time, I'm not going to talk about the NBA because I feel like we've been talking about the NBA for too long. Now, I'm going to shift my discussions to the local side, the PBA. Of course, the PBA is also affected by the COVID 19 pandemic. Their season has been suspended as well, together with all the basketball leagues in the world. So, what's the situation now? Are we still going to have the PBA season? And first, I'm going to talk about the situation before this pandemic hit. So, the PBA started their season actually just a few days before the declaration of the lockdown. I remember watching the first day of the season, which was on March 8th. That was a Sunday. Then days later, the Philippines declared a national state of emergency because of this pandemic. So all sports activities has been halted. That includes the PBA, and I don't think the PBA has ever played another day after the um, opening ceremonies that was held a few days earlier. So in reality, the season hasn't even kicked off yet because I think there's only one game played, and that was a game during the opening day. So basically, the season haven't really started yet. Everything's still up in the air. No official word from the PBA on when the season will return or if will indeed return. There has been discussions left and right, but the official word that they said is they will cut the season from the usual three conference format, and they will adapt a two conference format because of the suspension and maybe trying to finish the season as soon as possible. Another official declaration that we got from the PBA is that they have this deadline that they set the deadline in which they would see if it's indeed feasible to have a season. They said I think that was August. So if they can't make a decision past August, I assume the season would be canceled right then and there. But with the news that broke out a few days earlier that Manila will be under general community quarantine starting in June, there has been some optimism within the PBA community that the season will indeed happen. And the PBA office, I'm reading this article right now. The PBA office will return back to work next week. So not that I agree with basketball continuing, but it seemed like they're also gonna try to do everything they can to have a season, because the thing with the PBA, it's much easier, I think, for the PBA to have an alternative way to continue basketball rather than the NBA, which it's harder because it's a bigger league. But PBA is much smaller league. I think it's possible that we're gonna have the Philippine Cup, and it's I think it's a matter of time, not a matter of if. And heck, I'd take the PBA, as long as there's basketball. So under the GCQ, more sports activities has been allowed, but not basketball, because basketball is a contact sport, and we are trying to avoid contact with many people because of the risk of this virus. Sports activities that was allowed were individual sports or sports that doesn't really require physical contact, like golf, badminton, walking, running, all that stuff. But the PBA is drawing up guidelines now for the players to return to their teams, to get back in conditioning, can get back in physical shape, in preparations if the season does indeed resume. maybe July or August. We don't know. Everything's still up in the air. There's no concrete plans, but but the word from the league is that we will have a two conference format. We're not gonna have the usual Philippine commissioner and governor's cup format. So, and they're gonna decide. They set a deadline in which they should make a decision if the season will indeed continue. And what do you think? Does the PBA, do they need the season to come back? I mean, obviously they're gonna do it without fans, but we're talking about the PBA. They can pretty much play even without a crowd. I mean, there are games when I would watch on TV that there are literally like not that much people. So I don't think that would be an issue. These players, they would just want to play. They really don't mind the empty crowds. I think they're basketball players. They're just there to play basketball, and I think they would also want to continue basketball as well. So what do you think? Is it possible for the PBA to come back? And on what parameters do you think that they will enforce to maintain safety among its players? So do they need to have the players undergo a lot of tests once in a while just to make sure? I mean, testing is going to be a big thing if the season comes back, but we all know the situation in the Philippines. Testing, but we are all hoping and we all praying that basketball comes back soon. Doesn't matter if the PBA, doesn't matter if if it's the NBA. Basketball is basketball, and I will just take any of those two, and that's it for this quick video. Comment down below if you have any reactions or comments or any recommendations to the PBA if they would want their season to come back. And I'm gonna see you on the next video.